All right. Well, I'm here today with Molly Laine of Imagination Vacation Travel Company. She is so gracious to join me on this middle of a hurricane Friday. And Molly, can you say just a little something about yourself to get us started?
Yeah, hi. I am Molly Lane. Instagram, I am Simply Magical Molly. I am one of the owners at Imagination Vacation Travel Company, and I am so excited to be here today.
Well, that is what I like to hear. And actually, I'm glad you brought that up because so I'm sure people who've listened before know this. I started this years ago with a friend of mine who was a travel agent, and she kind of moved on and just does it here and there. And I was looking for ways to keep this Disney podcast going because I love it. And I could not do it on my own. So I was going through Instagram and it's try to find people who I think would be fun to talk to. And I follow so many people on Instagram, and so many of them, they do a good job. They have the funny memes. They have, the things that look like they were TikToks taken over with the green screens and stuff. But so few of them actually have their own personality when you watch them. And yours, so much personality. You start going through
Thank
stories and stuff, and it's just, oh, this lady's so much fun. And I think that's the most important thing. If we were booking a travel agent online, if, sight unseen and you start scrolling through, I like to know, I consider the travel agent as like cast member zero, the first person
Yeah,
that you run into to give you the Disney experience. And you there with your husband, with your kids, you look like you're having a good time and you're actually talking to the camera. And I think so many people, they just start putting up the memes and the videos. It's easy to do, but so few of them actually sit down and will look you in the camera, in the lens, like in the eye, and just start talking about what's going on. So
yes.
you are a great follow on Instagram for anybody who wants to follow.
Oh,
So I'll
thank
put
you
all the
so
links.
much.
Yeah. And this is not your first podcast you've been on either. I was excited to find out. So
Yes, yes. I love it. I love talking about Disney. This was just a passion as a child that kind of snowballed into an adulthood thing that snowballed into a business. And I got really lucky. I found my little Prince Charming, who is probably more Disney obsessed than I am. And I got really lucky in that aspect. And we're raising two little Disney adults in the making.
oh, that's funny. Yeah, it looks like you and your husband have a great time when you're in the parks on these.
We do. We do. Actually, when he proposed to me, I think one of the first questions I asked was, can we go to Disney World for our honeymoon?
He
He was
said,
like, absolutely yes. And that's actually where this adult Disney thing really started for me was 2015. I had only gone once as a child. My
oh,
parents weren't huge into it. So it was really 2015, our honeymoon, that I was just like, oh, I love it. I'm obsessed. Like I've always loved all the movies and everything. I'm a 90s kid, so I will fight that we are the best Disney generation for movies and songs. I mean, we have like, all the classics, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, Lion King. So I grew up in what I like to call peak Disney.
yes, for sure, Pink Disney. I was born in the 80s, but I really came into it in the 90s. So
Yeah, same.
you
Born
mentioned this.
86 and then mid and all the 90s were just we had the best time.
Well, all this junk behind me, I realized that my family has hoarding tendencies, and I no longer do. But this is all of my things from pre 2000. So these shelves are all like classic Universal. There's pictures of the Cake Castle, my favorite, when we went.
That was my first visit.
Oh wow, okay,
So I'll have to show you. Hold on.
all right,
So right here, this poster was my first visit. That was the 25th anniversary.
nice.
And so this is actually one of my favorite stories. My first time in Disney
Mhm.
was 1995 for the 25th. And all that we had to go off of as children was really what like ABC was doing their collabs with like Full House, Urkel, all of that. That's really
Yes.
all we could see. There wasn't YouTube to see what the castle looked like. So all I had envisioned was Cinderella's beautiful blue castle. I was so excited. I walked into Magic Kingdom for the first time and saw that pink monstrosity at 9 years old and was devastated. I mean,
Oh,
so angry, so upset. I was like, this isn't the castle. So when I
that's
went
amazing.
in 2015, that was really my first time seeing Cinderella's real castle. And now the iconic birthday cake castle is something that I'm obsessed with. Anytime I
Okay.
see merch, I'm like, oh, I got to get it. Like, it's just that funny memory for me that really, really stuck out from my first trip to Disney.
Well, you had me on a roller coaster there because I was getting ready to end this early because I think the castle with the cake this peak tacky Disney. That's the Disney I love.
Well, now looking back, I'm like,
Right.
if it had happened now, I would have been obsessed with it.
Mhm.
Like, birthday cake is my favorite food. Pink is my vibe. I'm like, why did I hate it so much? But I think it was because I was just so taken aback. I was expecting the blue classic castle. And then I saw the pink and I was like, this isn't it. But now looking back, I'm like, God, I would have loved it. If they bring it back, I'll be in Disney like every month taking pictures of her.
My daughter, who is actually, she's going to be 13 tomorrow.
Oh,
We went for the 50th. We actually got to go twice,
yeah.
and she was real sad that they just, they changed the color a little bit and put up the 50, thing, but no cake, because she's like a little version of me, in for better or for worse. And she was real sad that there wasn't that cake up, because that was the vibe she was looking for. The big,
Oh, the
not
50th,
sleek.
honestly, that was probably my favorite castle of all time.
Hmm. I mean, it looks nice now. I'll give
It's
you that.
gorgeous now. I love the pink and the blue contrast, but the 50th with the ribbons, I just thought it
Yeah.
was so, I feel like there were some aspects they could have left because it was so classic. And I do miss like the frozen Christmas lights.
Mhm.
And they swear they're not bringing back. And we had them during our honeymoon and they were epic. Like, I just love them so much.
They've got to be in a warehouse somewhere where
They have to be. They're somewhere.
they could sell them.
Bring 'em
I feel
out.
like,
Bring 'em out.
well, people would probably buy them like individual bulbs, $10 a piece. People would say, yes, we
For
can hang them
sure,
up in
we
our
would
own house.
hang them.
Right. Make ornaments out of them. Come on, Disney.
I know.
You're leaving money on the table. Well, so we went for the 50th, and we had the Genie app, or
Yeah,
This is
same.
the-
We did the 50th. That was our second trip with the kids.
did you use the filters on the photos?
The ones you could use in your Genie app?
Mhm.
No.
They had a cake castle where it was, they had, I guess, geolocation if you had your stuff turned on so it knew where you were in the park, and it could add the filters to the things behind you. And if you stood in front of the park, you could scroll through. There was one that was like the outline of the castle being built, so it looked like just like the bones of it.
Scaffolding? Yes, actually, I think I do remember this.
But there was one with the cake, so we got a picture with the cake where they just overlaid the cake in the background,
Oh,
and it was
that's-
pretty cool. So
Oh, I'm mad I missed that.
yeah, we watched the videos on YouTube, and so I'm sure you've also been upset, I guess, when Stitch took over that time infamously and put the toilet paper around, and that people
I
are
love
still mad.
Stitch so much,
Oh.
though.
Well, that's two strikes. People love Stitch, and I don't know. I think that was right as I was getting out of Disney and into, I don't know.
I feel like
Boys
I
and girls.
related to Lilo so much in that movie.
That's fair. Yeah. Well, I mean, I wouldn't be into Frozen, I guess.
Little girl.
Yeah, oh, well, I mean, probably I relate to her more now than I did as a child.
I know, like
That's
putting your friends as spoons in a pickle jar and just shaking them up when they're naughty. Like, who doesn't that resonate with?
And it's coming out live action pretty soon. I don't
I
know.
know.
It's gonna be
I'm
strange.
really excited. I get kind of scared when they do live action. I'm kind of a diehard. If it was great the first time, don't mess with it.
Mhm.
So, I'll be hard pressed to see. Like even Moana 2 coming out. Moana is probably, if I had to say, my favorite music and video movie of all time, Disney.
Oh, okay.
That's probably going to go up there in top 3 because it's, to me, just so special. It was my son's first favorite Disney movie.
Oh, yeah.
So we just listened to it and watched it constantly. And then the story behind it. I mean, you will never not catch me crying when How Far I'll Go is playing. Doesn't matter. It can be on the castle. It can be on the radio. It can be while I'm cleaning my house. I'm sobbing. It's just so special to me. So I'm kind of scared of Moana 2. I'm just like, okay, I'll keep my expectations low because Moana 1 will never be beat.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's going to be a Moana overload pretty soon because a live action and a number 2. I don't know. It was my daughter. My
I
youngest.
do love The Rock, though, so I'm excited to see that in person.
Well, yeah, because he's playing, I guess, himself kind of.
Yeah, he's going to be Maui.
That's wild. I'm ready to see him sing for real.
Me too. I love him. My kids love him, so I'm excited. I think he'll be awesome.
It was my youngest daughter's first Disney movie that she loved. And
Yeah.
we watched it every day, and I was like, "This is good."
Same.
And by the second month of it, I was like,
Oh, see, my husband fully played into it. We bought Henry a Maui outfit, and then
"Oh,
he would make my husband dress up as the Kakamora and chase him around the house.
that's amazing."
It was amazing.
My daughter has the Moana outfit, and it's one of those things that just this close to being inappropriate to wear because culturally,
So
I'm
tiny.
like, well, it's small and it's like, I don't know if this is okay for the little white kid to be the Moana anymore. I don't know.
I
It's very. I'm like, you can wear it around the house, but
know.
not the.
No, I am fully into when it comes to Disney, you can be any princess you want to be.
Oh, that's good.
Anybody you want to be, that's who you can be.
And yes, and in the house definitely, but also you have sons. I have daughters.
Yeah,
So
it's
you're
hard.
not wearing this outfit out the house.
It's definitely hard.
That skirt needs to be longer, and that shirt needs to be bigger. That's so.
I'm thankful every day that I did not have girls when I see girls walking down the street. And in Disney even, I'm like, you're at Disney, cover that up.
I have seen, this is something we used to get into in the original version of this podcast. We go and see people that just look, I guess they're from Florida maybe, and they look like they were on a date to Disney, and just girls in heels and
Yes.
like the ones that wrap up to your knee, like just wild outfits.
Yes.
Like, are you not
I'm
doing
like,
20,000 steps?
I would have to amputate my feet after that. Like it would just not be pretty.
I mean, maybe it's for the young. I just, there's so many videos and like how-tos on what shoes to wear so you can walk the next day and you're
I
wearing
am
heels.
adamant about my footwear in Disney.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the one place like we go and it's just whatever you want. The outfits, we just go a little crazy. Your husband's wearing ears. I like that. I like his vibe when I see the things. So.
He's so fun. He has the most epic t-shirt, croc, hat, fanny pack collection. And then I try to borrow it and he's like, you can borrow that. That's mine. What if you mess it up? I'm like, listen, we're in this together. We are sharing everything.
Now, are the Crocs good? This is a tip from a Disney travel agent.
Yes.
Okay.
So I actually was on the hunt for a very specific pair of the white ones with the Mickey heads cut out in the holes.
Oh, yeah.
On our last trip because it was supposed to have a tropical storm.
Mm-hmm.
And I only wear Brooks footwear, which is the cloth top. So I could not find them in my size. And that is the one, if I'm not wearing tennis shoes at Disney and it's going to pour, because as we know, it could get calf deep. If you're in Hollywood, because their drainage is just not happening, I'm wearing Crocs. But I discovered on Amazon, and I put them on my Amazon storefront on my Instagram because they're that good. They're this clear pullover rubber sock that goes over your shoes and has the grippies at the bottom. And I just put them in the mailbox for my girlfriend who's going to Disney tomorrow during this hurricane.
Mm-hmm.
And they're $14.99 for 2 pairs. They were the best thing I've ever bought. My shoes were dry. My feet were dry. I didn't slip. They were amazing.
You put them over your shoe.
You put them over your shoe.
Well, that's wild. I've never even heard of that. Well,
they were the best thing I've ever found for Disney. I mean, I absolutely love them. I bought them for my whole family. There's nothing worse than walking around Disney with wet socks and wet feet. Ugh. No,
the second this is over, I'm looking into that because the problem I have with my family is we go, it's 90 degrees, you're walking around all day. They don't want to do the water rides because, well, 2 of them don't. My daughter, my oldest is just like me, and she's just sun up this like rope drop to shut down.
We're opening it out. We're opening it up and we're shutting it down.
No, and my youngest and my wife are like, we don't want to get wet. We will do rope drop if you want, but we were taking a nap midday. We're going back to the hotel.
No. We can find a place to nap at Disney. We don't need to go home. But I do not like to get wet. Like when we did Tiana's this time, full poncho gear. The one thing that I do not like is to be wet when I'm supposed to be dry. It is very a sensory thing for me. Mm-hmm. And my husband, we were front row for the first time with Tiana's. My husband did not wear a poncho. I think at first it was like, I'll show her. I'm not going to get that wet. Sopping wet for hours. He was like, it actually doesn't feel bad. But then the second time we rode it, we were going to Skipper Canteen afterwards. And I was like, why don't you wear the poncho so you're not freezing and cold while we eat lunch? And he was like, yeah, I think you're right.
On a hot day, that's what I love. I just stand there.
He does too, but for me, it's a sensory thing. I cannot do wet when I'm supposed to be dry.
No. Well, my wife, if her socks get wet, then that's end of the day. Like that's
the cup of my sleeves gets wet when I'm bathing my children.
Oh no. Yeah.
I can't do it. I don't like it.
Oh, well.
I bring extra socks in my bag when we go to Disney. Because if my socks got wet, they have to be changed.
And guys, this is the kind of thing you need a travel planner for
You
because
do.
you don't
You
think
don't
about,
think about this stuff
no, you're not in the military. Why do you have extra socks and extra things to take with you? But here you
because
go.
we're going to battle.
Yeah, well,
We're not leaving.
and that's the attitude that I like.
Yes.
To get up, we're on the bus, everybody's half asleep, and you're going to suck it up because we're not going to
I
sleep.
was having this conversation with the people we went last time. We crashed a honeymoon.
Oh,
It was so much fun. But I was saying, Google has nap pods. Disney needs nap pods. They could make a killing. $20 an hour. One of those eggs where you sit in, you lay back, the white noise. I am telling you, I would utilize that for 2 hours, happily pay the $40 because I could take my nap. The thing about Disney is transportation. We all know how long it'll take to get back to our resort, to walk to our room, and then to get back. I mean, you're losing 3 hours, 4 hours. Maybe
that's why
an hour and a half nap.
Right.
We're not doing that. That's why I will always tell my clients too, if you have small kids, you just need to stay at the Contemporary. You have your own private walking path, your own private security. You can be there and back 10 minutes.
Yeah. Well,
there are things that I will say, spend your extra money on in a good resort location. That's my number one. Good resort location.
Well, I think you are leaving money on the table by putting this out in the world on, I'm sure it's not a big enough podcast that Disney's listening, but the nap pod's a good idea. I think it's a little naive, $20 an hour. But if
much?
Oh no, I think if a hamburger's $20, I mean, we're looking at $50 an hour.
I'm talking, like, have you seen the space that they've created at Epcot? The
Communicore? That it's not, people don't seem to enjoy. I have not been there, but
it's a waste. It looks like you're like a food court, essentially, in a mall. I'm like, fill it up with pods. Just fill it with pods.
And listen, that is the future. Why is that not at Epcot? That is actually really brilliant. It's a locker for people to get into. I feel like
everybody was in there charging their phones and sitting down anyway. Throw some pods in there and let people nap.
One that they could plug their phone into and get in and take a nap, get out of the sun. Oh my gosh.
The greatest of all time, air-conditioned nap kid decompress area that I've never been in. And I'm actually going to make a post about it because more parents need to see this. Star Wars Launch Bay. Never really gone in. I don't really have a need to. Humongous area. It's like a museum back there for Star Wars.
It is.
It is so quiet. It is cold. It is dark.
Yes.
The greatest of all time. My husband and I walked back there and I was like, oh my God. If you need to nurse your baby, if you need a nap, if you got a kid in a stroller that you just want to let them run around or continue to nap. Oh my God. The best place ever. And you would never know about it because you would never go back there.
Well, it is the vastness of space in a building. It really does give you that vibe. However,
we're about to lose it though. I think that's going to be monsters.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You bite your tongue because tear that waste of space out.
Yes.
And save my Muppets because.
Yes. So they're not going to destroy Muppets. I know they're not. And I know that strategically Muppets Lab was the face of Food and Wine this year. Just to reassure everybody, like, our Muppets aren't going anywhere.
Because now D23 this year, there was a lot of good things coming.
Yes.
And I know a lot of people booed Cars Land coming. But
I'm not a Cars person, but I can see the appeal.
Well, I was more worried. I was like, that the Monsters Inc. ride seems wait, where's that gonna go? Don't you? That's the Muppets because
everybody panicked.
Well, as going, the 25th anniversary of those years, like those are my formative years, and Muppets was that ride is it's still great, but that it's
my husband and I did it just the last time, and it's our kids' favorite. Like, we love the Muppets.
Yes, it's so great. Have they got one of the keys under the mat? Do you know about that?
No.
Oh.
Is this a thing?
Yeah.
Is there a mat I should be looking under?
So when you first go in and there's the hallway with the offices, there's like a welcome mat or a floor mat on one of the doors. And if you open it up, there's a Mickey-shaped key underneath, and they let you keep it if you're the person that gets it. Yeah.
No way!
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that. We just discovered at Pirates the lantern on the wall. If you scan your band, Tinkerbell will appear.
Well, come on.
That's a fun one. We just discovered that one and did it this last time. And for the longest time, I was looking for it in Peter Pan's Flight. I was like, where's the lantern? I want to scan and see Tink. And my husband finally realized, he was like, oh my God, it's not here. It's at Pirates. And I was like, oh, that's right. So it's in Pirates. It's fun. I love that little like magic of Disney stuff. Like that's my
perfect.
favorite part of Disney.
Well, we have a theme park that's close by here, and they have a great water park and they have roller coasters. But when you're there, the whole vibe is just, you go and you're like, this isn't Disney. Like these rides are fun. This water park is very nice, but there's no like little touches. And I think that is, they really nail, like if you're looking at the ground and all the grounds, the different places have little, just, there's that Pooh River from,
the Liberty Tree Tavern Pooh River.
Right. There's just little footprints or little, like if you're in
There was a new one I saw for Haunted Mansion.
Mm-hmm.
So Constance Hatchett, it looks like a wedding ring. And what it really was in the cement as you're walking in, what it really was the Imagineers had like sawed off a metal pipe and just left it.
Mm-hmm.
And people thought it was an engagement ring. And then they actually years later planted another engagement ring somewhere in the path. So I just saw this like 3 days ago, and now I'm determined to find the other ring.
Oh, that's really cool. See, good job, Disney. Good job.
Yeah, I love it. That's my favorite part of Disney is I tell people, you may think you're going to go once. You're never going to go once unless you're like that kind of person and fine, whatever. I'll make it the best trip of your life.
Well, you're not listening to this. So
every single time I go, there's something new and exciting that I'm looking forward to. Every single time.
I mean, how often do you get to go? I saw on your Instagram, you got an annual pass, for us, for your people.
This was my first year. I felt so special.
It's for research, right?
100%. Yeah, this is just business.
Right.
I can't tell you, so many things have happened for me in the last 2 years that I did not expect. I never thought I would be a Disney travel agent. It was never even anything that I imagined. My husband actually was the one who came up to me and was like, look, I'm following this girl on Instagram. She lives in our area. She just opened an agency. Why don't you apply? And I was like, be a Disney travel agent? And he's like, yeah, you're really good at planning. Why don't you just like do it, for fun? So I was like, okay, that's awesome. So I interviewed, I got hired, they trained me, they were amazing. And I just absolutely loved it. And then an opportunity presented itself where I had 2 people who were like, you're really good at this. We want to financially back you.
Oh, wow.
And we want you to create an agency. We want to be part of it. And I was like, okay, I can never, ever say no to this opportunity. I'll never get it again. So that's when I started. And I started going on my annual summit for the business aspect of it. And then we always try to do at least 1 week-long family vacation with the kids. And then this year was also my husband and I going for an early anniversary. It was our first trip to Disney without the kids, and it was amazing, and it was so much fun. And so I've been 3 or 4 times this year, and that's above and beyond. Usually once, twice if I'm lucky. But this year it just worked out to where I was like, if I get the annual pass, it'll pay for itself. And truthfully, the amount that I save on merch and food alone is usually anywhere from $300 to $600 per trip.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty worth it, honestly. If you're going to go like twice, I feel like I can justify that cost.
Well, I looked into it because my daughter's going to start high school next year, and so then you start thinking about college and things like that. And I'm not the biggest fan of college, is what it's become, of how expensive it is, and
Me too.
depending on what you're going to do with it, if you don't need that degree.
Exactly, I am the exact same. So I'm medical. My husband's medical. We didn't go to 4-year colleges. We went to medical training schools, and I am like, have a trade in this economy.
Mm-hmm.
Be a trades worker of some sort. Find what you're passionate about. You want to be a doctor or a lawyer, whatever, sure, go to college. I don't believe in college much anymore.
So I have a communication degree, and I do this for myself. Like I do social media and like video production and podcasting. So I've used 1%, of that.
Right.
But also college wasn't $100,000 when I went. So
exactly.
Exactly. So to look at the price of what it would be for a couple annual passes and maybe a quarterly trip to Disney, I was like, if we were going to put money together for college, we could start our daughter a YouTube channel at Disney that in 4 years would be worth more than a job you know.
God, yes. Does she love Disney?
Oh,
Like, is
she wants
college of Disney like a thing for her? Is she going to try out to be a cast member?
she would love to be. She wants to get into culinary things, and like if she could do anything, it would be a chef at Disney World, and then her days off go vlog and walk and have her
Yeah.
channel of her.
I mean, look at Disney Food Blog and what
Right?
she has done.
Oh, I mean that.
She's huge. She's amazing. And she just started from the ground up for herself.
Well, that's what I tell people when they're like, I want to get a YouTube channel, and then they start, and then they're getting 12 views in a month. And I'm like, well, that's the people who are popular. They didn't get popular in a month. They built it up, something that wasn't there. They kept pushing ahead, and then they found something people liked.
You got to be unique. You got to find your niche and just trust the process. And truthfully, a lot of what I have learned in Instagram and social media is breaking the algorithm, figuring out your algorithm, figuring out when to post, posting something relatable, and hoping it goes viral. That's really all you can do. And be yourself. Put your face out there. As funny as it is to put like a meme over a background, yes, but especially when you're selling something and you're selling yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what you're selling when you're selling a YouTube channel or a podcast, or in my case, like I'm selling myself. I want to be your travel agent. I want to help you get to Disney. Sell yourself. Put your face out there. People want to see who they're talking to.
Yes, everybody I've had on here. That's how I found them. I don't know any of I've never met you. We just talked 5 minutes before this started.
Right.
But I see you on Instagram, and I'm like, I know her. I like her because that's coming through on the things. And I have that's my like Disney account. Like I don't have anybody else that I know that's on that account. That's just my get away from the world and all the other ugliness that's on. I just go to the Disney Instagram. That's all people having a good time and fun.
I know.
So it's mostly, to be honest, Disney travel agents and Disney, influencers and stuff. And so many of them are just posting the same thing over and over. And if you have the one Disney friend in your feed that's a travel agent, then people see it, oh, that's cute, that's fun. But if you're trying to break out of, just your people, you need to get yourself, what you said was perfect. You need to be out there and talking and putting your face out there so people, because if you're going to reach out online, that's a big step. That's a big ask for somebody.
And I think that people are embarrassed or shy.
Oh, no, you can't do
that. And
I'm
like, you can't be. Just like people love to see the vulnerability in you because we're all human and we relate to each other when we can relate to our embarrassment and our vulnerability and our weaknesses.
For sure.
So, I mean, honestly, I think I had 200 followers 2 years ago when I went to Disney for the first time with my travel agency. And my first viral reel that was almost 1 million views was me, my absolute honest reaction to my girlfriend getting us into the Tower of Terror hotel lobby tour. Ooh. I lost it. And I was so excited and I started crying. And that one was the one that really took off, kind of put me into Instagram's algorithm of such. And I've grown like, I don't even know how many followers I have, but it's a few thousand. But I mean, I grew that in a couple of years just from continuing to put honest and raw stuff out there that's relatable, especially to moms. I really that's my niche. I'm a mom. I relate to moms. I got 2 boys. They're insane. My life is chaos all the time. It's just like fart jokes and wrestling. It's like MMA around here. And, that's what's relatable to me. And I know there's other boy moms out there, and that's my niche.
I'll let you know, dirty secret. The fart jokes are in the girl's house too. So I was not prepared.
I know, my sister and I totally grew up with fart jokes. I was
not prepared for how gross girls are. I was like, oh, this is nice too, little sweet. Oh, let's clean your bathroom. Flush the toilet. What's wrong with you? Monsters. So
they really are. They're all animals.
What you're saying though is really, it's very refreshing to hear someone who's doing it say these things, because it's the kind of stuff that I don't come from a Disney background. I do a lot of work with fitness people, and it's hard to get somebody to come in to your place, especially these are like higher end prices. It's not like you're at the grocery, buying a pack of gum at the checkout counter. Like, you're not going to Disney on a whim.
Right.
You're putting some people may only go once a year or once every 5 years or something.
What's a lifetime? I mean, I've literally had the clients who said, this is our once in a lifetime trip, either for monetary reasons, they're going to throw it all in one, or they're just doing it for the kids. And I'll actually tell you the reason I became a travel agent in 2021. I
Mhm.
took my children, maybe it was 2022, early 2022. I took my children who were 2 and 4 at the time for their very first trip. It was so bad. I cried every
Oh
single
no.
day. It was the very beginning of Genie Plus.
Oh
It
wow.
was still COVID. We had
Hmm.
booked our trip in July when they took down the mask mandate because I was like, I got a 2 and 4 year old. I'm not going to
Oh
Disney with a
no.
mask on. It's just
No.
too much. So they took down the mandate. They reinstated the mask mandate 2 weeks before we went. And they were so strict. They were yelling at us mid-Frozen ride. Tell him to put his mask on. They would stop the ride and yell at you through the microphone. Tell him to put his mask on. And I'm like, he's 2. I cannot staple this to his face.
Right.
And so it was overwhelming. I remember pulling up after driving 12 hours from Virginia with just Tupperwares, a van full of stuff to the Art of Animation, not knowing that there wasn't a bellboy, that there wasn't going to be anything, and just being hysterical because I was like, you expect me to take both of these kids, load up 2 carts, and now I got to walk my butt a quarter of a mile to the car
Hmm.
by myself?
Yeah.
And I mean, it was just one thing after the other after the other. And I was like, we just lost out on an $8,000 trip because I was so overwhelmed. I didn't know what to do. My kids didn't know what to do. It was horrible. After that, I came home and I said, you know what? I'm never going to let that happen to me again. I'm never going to let it happen to me again. I'm going to study it. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to have it down to a science. And then I decided to become a travel agent because I was like, you know what? People are throwing their life savings into making these trips. And there is no way you can go to Disney for your first, second, third time by yourself
Hmm.
and enjoy it the way that a professional can do it for you. I'll just say
No.
that right now. There's no way because Disney is a beast. You have to eat the elephant one bite at a time. And unless you have time to study it, which I do constantly because it's constantly evolving and changing, you will never master it. And you have an agent in your pocket when you book your trip through Disney. It's paid for. You pay for your agent when you book your trip through Disney, whether you use it or not.
Hmm.
Disney doesn't tell you that.
And so,
But
how much is your service?
free, free. I tell
Yeah.
people all the time, you're just wasting it. Like you're
Mhm.
just giving them the money to keep in their pocket and you're not getting the planning help. Because
Yeah.
what I do is I will book those very hard, very competitive reservations that come out at 6 a.m. 60 days before, or that bippity boppity boutique that comes out at midnight 60 days before that are gone like that for the entire week. You have to know it's like Disney's a game
Hmm.
and I'm determined to win it.
Yeah. Wow.
And unless you have that hunger in you to beat Disney, you're not going to beat Disney. Same with Genie Plus. And I was really mad about the new lightning lanes because I had mastered Genie Plus. I will get you on every single ride in a day and you won't wait more than 10 minutes.
And now Disney's like, well, she thought she had us beat, and they
Well,
swung
I
back.
had them beat. I
Yeah.
had them beat and they must have found out.
Yeah. They were
Now,
up
I
against the
will
ropes.
say it's not terrible.
Mhm.
I used it, but I can't beat the system yet. I got to figure it out more. I need
Yet.
more hands on.
Yeah, that is the
Yeah.
key. You will
I'm
get
going to
there.
figure it out. But the last people I had, they still did everything in Magic Kingdom and didn't wait more than 10 minutes.
Well, I am a huge advocate for having someone else do it because, I mean, I've told the story in here before, but when me and my wife were dating, we went and she planned it, on the phone, 1-800-W-Disney, talked to
Yep.
somebody there, did it, and then, we just paid and we just went. And it was like, oh, this is fun. And there's just so much going on because I hadn't been since I was, in middle school, and it had changed so much,
So much.
the culture, the lightning lanes, the fast pass, none of that stuff was there when I was there the last time. And then, you're in line, you're doing this, and then we said, oh, this is a free thing that we can have somebody do this. And then a friend of mine did it. We're like, oh, this was much better. All the restaurants, everything was just taken care of. And then we went with a friend of ours that was a travel agent, and she had us, she was running us ragged, but we rode everything and we didn't wait for anything. And
Yes.
we were park hopping and we were doing all the tricks, and it was, it was a lot, but you don't get to experience that if you don't know about it. And we wouldn't have known about it if you just go. It's not like the theme park in our city where you just go and ride the rides and then go home.
Yeah.
You really want to go crazy.
Disney, if you want to get your money's worth, sure, you could go, show up, ride a couple rides, have a Dole Whip. But when you're paying $150 per person
on a good day,
per day, I'm a kind of gal, I'm going to get my money's worth. I want to do as much as I can do. I don't want to wait in lines. I want to know what to expect. I want to know, like, what time is the parade coming and where should I sit? What time are the fireworks starting? What time should I get there and where should I stand? Because our first trip, I didn't think about getting into the fireworks more than like 15, 20 minutes. I was like,
come on, get out.
Time, right? Got 2 kids in a stroller. We are all the way down Main Street. I am in tears. We can't see anything. And I'm like, everybody's yelling at you all the time. Yeah. Get behind the tape. Don't cut in front of this person. Now I know 45 minutes. You need to get there at least 45 minutes and stand right in front of Walt and Mickey so you have a good view and don't move. Even when the cast members tell you to move up, don't move. Stay where you are because they're not going to make you.
Yeah. Well, I like that. What we figured out this last time is we've seen the fireworks and they're amazing, but I can pass on the fireworks. I know that sounds like sacrilege.
No, happily ever after. I will be there every single time.
so many rides are so quick. If you're not watching the fireworks.
Have you ever done Big Thunder Mountain where you timed it right for the fireworks and they stop you at the top?
No, but that's pretty cool.
I did that I was so gracious. Gave it to my husband and my son. And he was like, "Oh, they're not going to stop us. They're not going to stop us." And I was like, "Yes, they will." Oh my God, I raised my hand. Did you see?
And the thing went up. That's funny. Everything froze up and I went, "Oh no, what's she doing?"
Yeah. So if you ride Big Thunder Mountain during the fireworks, they will stop you at the top of the hill for a few seconds and you get to enjoy the fireworks. And it's so fun. So that's what I say. Like, if you're not going to watch the fireworks from the front of the castle, go behind the castle, go near the carousel, go over to Big Thunder. I do remember when I was a kid, my favorite was we did Splash Mountain instead of the fireworks for one night, and they let us just run it like 4 times because there was no banding.
Yeah, we were running
one of my favorite memories.
We were running like idiots. Like, there's no line. We're getting on.
I know.
There's nothing happening, and we're like, okay, we've been running for 12 hours. Maybe we should slow this down. But that is the best. So you mentioned your kids and your husband. And one of the things that I do like that I saw that you do on your Instagram is you are an advocate of kids-free, of no kids, Disney stuff.
I think Disney adults have a bad rep.
Yeah, we're not winners.
And, I saw it compared the other day. There's this hilarious guy. I think he's up in like Jersey or Brooklyn or something. He's New York. And he made this comparison about how like people make fun of Disney adults for like buying the merch and paying the crazy amount of money. Look at NFL. You're the same person as me. Do not judge me. And look at NFL's following. And it's just like, okay. It's the same thing for us. It's our getaway. We're not sports people. We're Disney people. So yes, we're going to pay the money. We're going to take the trip. This was actually our second time ever away from our children. We've only ever done one other night away from our kids. And we were worried, but they did amazing. And we had the best time ever. And it was so good to reconnect and do Disney without our kids, because Disney is super adult if you make it that way. It doesn't have to be like creepy and weird. And I just think that people have this stigma around Disney adults. And if you follow the right ones, you see that like, this is a good time. Great food, good drinks, the rides, parades, fireworks. I mean, it was, he's going to want to do it every year now, and I'm not going to say no.
Oh, that's amazing. That's what we have been wanting to do, and we haven't done it yet. We would like to do a Universal parents only trip because.
Oh, and you want to talk about a good adults time? Yeah. Universal is where it's at.
My kids don't do big rides, so
I'm not yet.
We can't do, roller coasters and things like that. So if we go to Universal, a lot of the appeal there is the bigger rides. And
yes, 100%.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Everybody's home because of the storm. So school is out today. My wife is a teacher. She's home.
Too loud.
I like to go by myself. Let's anybody else. And so this year I had a business thing going on in Orlando because the guy that runs it, he's a big Disney guy. So he has it down there so him and his family can go. So I got to go for a day by myself, just the Magic Kingdom, and it's just.
So I've actually tried to convince my husband because I feel bad. Every time I go to
Mhm.
Disney, he's home with the kids. And I'm like, why don't you let me send you to Disney by yourself for like 2 days?
Have him call me. I'll tell him.
I'm telling you, he's a little hesitant, but I think I might be able to get him on that plane one day because I just think Disney by yourself sometimes can be so relaxing
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
unwinding and fun. And I mean, I am all for like bachelor trips in Disney, bachelorette trips in Disney. Go with your girlfriends. One of the best times I've ever had was going with just a group of my girlfriends. And it was so much fun. So I tell people I plan singular. I have one guy who I adore as one of my clients. He's a vet. He's young. He goes by himself to Disney all the time. He's my one guy. I'll book his trips all the time, and he goes by himself, and he loves it. And he has made so many Disney friends.
Mm-hmm.
He's always meeting up with another Disney influencer and has the best time ever. He does the run Disney by himself. But yeah, it's so relaxing.
Oh yeah. I know it's weird because I have a podcast. I don't talk to a lot of people in real life. If I was out,
Me neither. I don't like people.
But if I'm at Disney, I'm chatting with people because
Me too.
They've been vetted because they're here at Disney. They're, they've at least passed some kind of threshold where I'm like, I can talk to you. This is fine.
You're a good person.
Yeah, you're good. You're good enough. Yeah, you pass at least a certain level.
Yeah, I am as outgoing and extroverted as I am. I'm an extroverted introvert. My circle is very small.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really, I'm just so busy all the time. I don't really have time for those relationships that require a lot out of me. So my good friends are the ones that like, maybe we haven't talked in 3 months, but when I pick up the phone, I'm just like, yo, what's up? And they're like, yeah, man, it's been crazy. How you doing? That's my favorite circle of friends is the little ones that don't need a lot out of you. It's just a very mutual understanding of I give what I give, and what I give is what I've got.
Yeah, and that's just being an adult with kids. So that's pretty much all of our friends.
We just don't have time, unfortunately.
Yeah, we did lots of fun stuff in college, and then we chose to have
That's what my husband says. He was
these monsters, and now
is our time to be part of the family. We did the crazy thing already. We lived that life. Now this is this part of this life.
Oh. Well, so how do you compare a you and your husband trip versus a full family trip? Because your kids are still young.
The amount of relaxation that was, I'm just like this thinking about it. It was so nice to not have to worry about 2 extra little bodies and souls and minds and feelings. And we just got to do what we wanted to do. It wasn't, coordinating snack time and nap time and bedtime and the consequences we may face for a late night and an early morning. And my husband and I are still diehard. We're on the bus at 7:30.
Yeah, that's right.
And we'll leave at midnight when it's closing. But we don't have to worry about the little bodies that attended with us. And it was amazing. It was just Disney with your kids and Disney without your kids are 2 totally different experiences. And another way that I could put it was when I'm at Disney with my kids, I'm looking down. I am making sure my children are safe. I am watching their expressions. I am living through them. I am not living for me. I don't see outside of what I see down. I'm looking down constantly, whether it's on my phone rides or watching my children to make sure that they're not running away or watching their facial expressions so that I can see how happy they are. When I go without my kids, I actually get to look up. And I get to take it in, and I get to see the castle, and I get to see the fireworks, and I get to do the things that I don't get to do. So it's really just like a 180. And they're both amazing. Both of those experiences are incredible in and of themselves, but they're 2 totally different experiences. And I really think you need both.
Oh, I commented on somebody today on their Instagram. They were asking about those kind of things. And I said, do you do solo trips? And why? It's because everybody's expensive and they have their own opinions, and get out of here. If you go by yourself, it saves some money and do whatever you want because.
Oh my God. It was basically just half price.
Right. Well,
it was amazing.
And so this is something we're not going to get too much, but I listened to you on the Disney Dudes podcast, which was excellent. So shout out to that. If you're looking for Disney podcasts, Molly was on there a few times. I listened to you talk about. They were talking about kids growing up, and it was kind of got a little heartstring being plucked there because you don't. How old are your kids, if you don't mind?
5 and 7.
Okay, so mine are 9 and 13, and I have videos of them at like 1 and 4 at Disney because, I was video dad because that's what I did. And that's what I do for a living. So I was there with the camera in their faces and just, you don't realize until they're getting ready to be 13. You're like, look at this little face. And, they're still like the lights in their eyes. And like, oh.
I know.
I'll watch that video on YouTube and just.
I know. Like the videos of my kids, they built their lightsabers and then
they're fighting. I saw
fighting in Hollywood. I'm like, oh my God. Or like, so we always make it a thing to video their first ride. Their face. And both of my kids on Slinky Dog for the first time, is one of my favorite videos of all time. Just seeing that roller coaster of emotion of like frightened and then joy and then everything in between. And it's just, I love it. And the fact that I get to like relive those moments because I videoed them is the best thing ever.
So what we're saying is you need to video these trips, people, and not just post the memes. You need to get footage of you all having a good time because that's what makes people want to have a good time, is seeing other people have a good time and seeing these wonderful memories. My kids, I have video of them on Slinky Dog. They won't ride it again. That's why we don't take them to Universal, because they said that's too many hills. Too many hills. It's a Slinky.
I'm secretly putting both of my boys on Tower of Terror in November.
So here you go. My daughter rode Tower of Terror at 4 years old, and I forgot because I was there the first year it was open.
Oh, it's literally my favorite ride of all time.
I hate drops, and I love the host show if they would let me out right before the drop. So we went the first year because my parents were great, and I was an only child, so I got to have the fruits of that. We went, and it was like, oh, this was a great show. I don't know about that drop. And there's a funny picture of my dad holding on for dear life. Because we had to buy the big pictures. Well, we went the second year and they randomized it and we didn't know because
I was going to say our drop as a child was different than what it is now. It used to just be a straight big drop.
Yeah. So they would take you to the top and they dropped you and you said, that was amazing. We stood in line for almost 3 hours, to ride it. The next year they changed it, but because no travel agent, no YouTube, we didn't get those VHS tapes and all the we didn't know there was going to be a castle cake. When you walk in that year, it's like, this is crazy. And we got halfway down and they threw us back up and we were like, what? Did this break? Are we dying? And it was terrifying. It was the most terrifying thing. And we had to buy the picture of my dad and he's got his eyes closed and he's in the middle seat in the back and he's holding on to his leg and he doesn't know what to do because there was no warning because there was no sign out front saying this is different than last year if you've been. So now I like it.
I love Tower of Terror so much. And I've gotten really lucky the last 2 times I've ridden. And I didn't know this until someone shouted it out in our car afterwards. If the doors open back up and you see the family again, you get the extra drop.
Oh, okay.
And I love Tower of Terror mostly because every drop sequence is different every time. It's my favorite thing ever.
I can't miss it now. I'm on it every time that we're there, but
same.
That drop, she went on it when she was 4 and you couldn't pay her to get on it now. Like that, she just said, no more. I pray
my kids love it because it's like so near and dear to me. The whole story. I don't know if you remember the ABC special.
Oh yeah.
I've
never seen it. I've heard it's terrifying.
It's the best.
I heard it's so scary.
It's amazing. It's my favorite.
I've never seen it. And it's not on Disney Plus. And I was told it's really good.
It is on DVD on Target. It's a 3-pack movie for $12.95. And it's got the guy, Steve something, who was in It Takes Two and 3 Men and a Little Baby.
Steve Guttenberg?
Yes. Yeah. Steve Guttenberg. He's in it. He's the dad.
Well, I know that Kirsten Dunst was in it.
And Kirsten Dunst is his daughter, and they go to the hotel and they learn the whole backstory. It's on Target. I'm actually going to go buy it today. Why not? It's $13 because I need to show it to my kids.
That's the kind of stuff that I really want to see, like those kind of.
Those are my favorite. Yeah. Those old movies. Even like Disney Channel originals. like they don't actually, I'm not going to say they don't make them like they used to because they've done really, really good with Descendants and Zombies.
Oh, my
Those
kids
are
love
actually,
Descendants.
oh,
And
it's so
Zombies.
good.
Boy, that music,
So good.
I could do
The
without the
music is
girls.
incredible.
Well, mileage may vary on that, but I like the Disney movies. That kind of soundtrack I could do all day. Some of this, the kids like the Descendants, and I'm like, if it's a break from Taylor Swift, that's fine. Okay, we can do something else. That's fine.
The original Zombies playlist, I swear, we still like listen to it when we clean and like in the car by myself all the time.
My daughter, she's getting to that age and she's getting her own thing. So she got on Spotify and made her own playlist, and there's so many of those songs, and I'm like, oh, babe, okay, well.
My husband literally is so Disney obsessed. He will listen in the car.
Mm-hmm.
It's called like Radio Disney or whatever. But you know how like when you're walking around the park and they're just pumping music through
the park radio. Yeah, I have it.
He listens to
I love it. Time. I love it. Well, I have it on my phone, and I they have the in-room hotel shows, the recordings of that.
They call it Disney News.
Well, they'll play it from
literally the only thing that we turn on the TV when we're at Disney.
Well, they play it. They have the ones from like 1991, 1990, like the old ones.
Is that on YouTube?
They are on YouTube too.
I got to find them. It's like, so the kids call it Disney News. Mm-hmm. And they get upset when we leave Disney because there's no more Disney News. Aww. And that's what we watch in bed every night. And we turn it on in the morning, and that's what we get ready to. And I tell all of my clients, I'm like, listen, don't watch regular TV when you're Disney. No. Watch Disney News. All it is promos for everything Disney, but it's the best in the entire world.
Well, so my life hack used to be when I would travel more for work, I would take a tablet, like an iPad, plug it into the TV, and you get up, and on YouTube you just type in WDW Resort TV, and like whatever the year, and they'll have it from all the 90s years.
Oh my God.
And you can just put it on the TV, and you wake up in the morning in a hotel, and you pretend you're on vacation, and then
oh my God, I love it so much.
Then you get up and go to work, and it's not the same. But for that minute, you're like, I'm going to River Country, and I'm going to see all this nonsense. And
oh my God, I love it. River Country. I haven't thought about that in so long.
My kids know the song. It's real weird. They were never around for it, of course, but they like all those shows on YouTube, the history of the different things. So, so I was going to get into you said your second child's a little crazy, but we can skip it. That's nuts. It's the same with mine too. The first one,
there's something genetically different with that second child. That DNA is tweaked. Mm-hmm. They're all the same.
Yeah,
they're all insane. Mm-hmm. I'm like, for years, the goal of the day was keep Jack alive. That's it. Bare minimum, keep Jack alive. Well, that was it.
I just don't understand when people have three or more, because I'm like, was it the second one enough? Like, I don't know how you got past the second.
The second is the reason my husband and I will never have a third.
So we said we have two because of both of you, because the first one we said, it's so easy. Why is everybody upset about the
I could have 5 of him.
And we did not. We had a second.
Nope. We had Jack, and then it was like, oh, okay, never mind. Because we had planned to have 3. Yeah. The plan was always 3, and we hoped for 3 boys. We got to 2 boys. By the time Jack was 6 months, I was like, we are going to have our hands full. It's going to be bad. And now he's actually transitioning into my easier one. He's still like got a mind of his own and fiercely independent, but we're getting into like the 7-year, like preteen hormones over here. It's hard. Like there's a lot of emotion in this little 7-year-old body.
Yeah.
That's almost harder for me than just keeping Jack alive daily.
Oh, wait, they come home with a little mustache and they're mad at you in their deep voice and watching your old Disney videos. You go, you were so sweet.
I know. You were so squishy and delicious. What happened?
My oldest is like, okay, Dad. And I'm like, oh, no, look how cute you were. You're still cute.
Oh, my kids love watching videos of themselves. Love it. They're so vain. They're like, let me see another video of me.
That's the one thing that she likes on YouTube, that she's like, okay, we can keep the family videos up. Anything else that we did, it's going to embarrass me. So I'm like, all right, well, fine, whatever. So we have hardly even talked about the different things going on in the park, but one of the big things that you like to talk about, and it's on your website, that you said you're a Disney foodie. Tell me about some of your favorite stuff at Disney, because I enjoy the food there as well.
I think a lot of the reason I go to Disney is because of the culinary aspect of it. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to call it that because Disney does so much from scratch that you don't probably even realize, like Disney makes their own butter. Disney makes their own chocolate. Like Disney does it so well that I just feel like it's a whole other experience in and of itself. And when I go, I have a list. I make a notes app and it's a list per park, every food I need to get.
I love it.
And it's bananas. And God, okay, so if we're talking like favorites, the place we're always going to eat is Ohana. That's always going to be a sit down for us, in 50s Primetime Cafe.
Because it means family, right? Ohana means
yes, everything about us is very like we are one. My husband, we call him Daddy Duck. Everybody needs to be in the nest at all times. Daddy Duck keeps us safe. Well, so everything that's like really family oriented is for us. And some of my favorite snacks.
Well, let me ask you something real quick before we get to snacks.
Yeah.
I've never been to 50s Primetime Cafe.
Oh, we go every single time.
The food looks so heavy.
It is.
And then go out in the parks. It's the same reason we never did. There's one at Liberty Square that's
Liberty Tree Tavern.
Yeah, and it's like, how can you eat this food and then get back out in the heat?
I will tell you this much. We try as much as possible not to go in the heat of Disney. Our favorite times to go are November, January, February, maybe early March, early April. Yes. I do not like to be hot. My husband doesn't like to be hot. When we went in September, I will tell you this much, we will never go again in September.
Well,
it was physically, I could like wipe myself by 11 a.m. It was insane.
Our favorite family trip, January, we took the kids out of school.
Yep.
It was, post Christmas rush. There was no one there.
Yes.
Within reason. And it was cool. And it was nice.
That's what I tell people. I'm like, pick not a holiday weekend, not right before, not right after, in November, December, January, February, March. Take your kids out of school. They can make it up later. It's not a big deal. So that's the reason that we can sit down and have a heavy meal. Because one, we are not going in the heat of anything. Mm-hmm. Last time I think we went as a family, it was like maybe 70-degree high, which was nice. But you also have to think the other aspect of was my children were forcing us to get into the pool and it was 65 degrees out and it was miserable.
Well, so another reason we don't do primetime is because my all-time favorite is the Sci-Fi Diner.
Okay. We've never been because I've heard the food is just mediocre.
It's mediocre. AF, I guess as a kid. It's not. I mean, it's a hamburger and a milkshake and fries. But you're paying for the ambiance. But it's okay,
my thing is, are my kids going to be scared? Are they like showing the Blob? Like, what kind of movies are we talking about
here? Let's see. My oldest was 11 the last time she was there, and it was to the point where she was laughing at the shows. Like it's just cheesy. Like there's a guy on the beach and there's somebody with like a syringe or something. And they're like, oh, and they fall. It's from like the 40s and 50s. Clearly this is a man in a rubber suit kind of clips.
Right. So that is a lot of the reason we haven't gone yet. Because I'm like, my kids, especially the oldest, he gets terrorized very easily. Mm-hmm. He'll think about it for days. And I'm like, I'm just not going to deal with nightmares about the Blob.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
For the rest of the week. But my husband has actually been begging to go. And do you ever do the Fantasmic VIP dining experience?
We did it last time we went to Brown Derby.
That's so adult. We did Brown Derby last.
Mistake.
We got, my husband and I went adults only. I would never recommend that place for children.
No, it was a bad idea.
It's a horrible idea. It is adults only. Mm-hmm. We got the chopped salad because it's very famous and we wanted to try it. And it was actually really cool. They bring it to your table and mix it at the table for you, which was fun. And then we got a charcuterie board. Okay. And we sat there and we just kind of picked and it was nice. I won't go back. We wanted to try the famous chopped Cobb salad. We did it. It was great. Checked it off the list. I won't go back. But the VIP, Fantasmic Dining, is something that I almost force every single client to do because we didn't do it this past time. We were kind of trial and erroring. Normally we do it. I'll do it twice a week because my kids love Fantasmic. We start on Fantasmic and we end on Fantasmic. I'm one of the people that I will pay for convenience. Mm-hmm. So I'm not made of money. We're going to stay value most of the time when we're going as a family, but we're going to add in the things that make my life convenient, like Genie Plus, Lightning Lane Multi-Pass, VIP for Fantasmic Dining, because you're paying like maybe $10 more on top of what your food price would be anyway. You can show up 15 minutes before the show, sit down in the prime seats. Last time we got there 30 minutes before the show, I didn't even know these seats existed, like behind the stadium seats.
Oh, wow.
I'm looking at a light pole.
Oh, no. That's
for the entire Fantasmic, and I'm like, is that Mickey? I can't see him. It was horrible. It was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Spend the extra $10. Please, just trust me. Book the Fantasmic VIP package. It's worth every single dollar.
We went with our friends who the wife was our planner and planned the trip, and she said, we're doing this. Perfect, Fantasmic, great seats. It was my first time seeing Fantasmic, and I was like, so I took it for granted where we were sitting. But we had 5 kids between us, and not a bite was eaten of dinners because everybody got the food and went, this is not child-friendly food. We did get the big, I think, a 7-layer chocolate cake that really went over well for dessert. But
that is such a bummer.
I mean, it was just because the food is very fancy, and the kids are like, I would like some tendies.
They didn't have like chicken tenders and
no, not it. And I mean, I would have taken some chicken tenders too.
So honestly, I don't know if Brown Derby shares a kitchen with anybody, but never be afraid to ask at Disney. My oldest, when we first went, he was really struggling with some food hypersensitivities. And I was afraid he wouldn't eat anything. He has his safe foods, and a lot of them are prepackaged, like, certain brands of string cheese, certain brands of applesauce, Doritos, like packaged food that I was really afraid. And so we had gotten him, I mean, he wouldn't eat a cheeseburger. He wouldn't eat chicken nuggets unless they were McDonald's.
I have one of those children.
It was really bad. And he was 4, and I was pretty panicked, and I was like, is he going to eat? So I packaged a lot of our snacks, and I had a lunchbox every single day with his stuff. We went to Coral Reef Cafe, and they didn't have anything, even on the kids menu, that he would have eaten. And I looked at her and I was like, can you throw a piece of cheese in between 2 slices of bread for me? And she was like, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll make that happen. And they made him a grilled cheese. And it was so nice, and it was so kind. And it was the worst meal I've ever had in Disney, parent-wise. But I will speak super highly. I think they shared a kitchen with someone else and were able to share ingredients, and they made that happen for my kid, which was so nice.
That's that Disney magic that they
is. And that's another reason I'll pay for Disney, because the cast members will go out of their way to make sure that your experience is stellar.
Well, we have that child who doesn't eat anything, the second one, of course. And we went to Teppan Edo, is that the person? And we have video of her, and she is just on the edge of her chair. She's cheering. They're making, instead of a volcano, they make a little Olaf, out of onions and the little kit and everything. I mean, she is delighted with the show. And then that food went onto her plate in front of her. She was like, oh no, what is this?
My kids won't even eat rice.
No, she was not. She did not know what to do, because she was, laughing and talking to the chef and having the time of her life. And then when she realized that was her dinner,
yeah.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
It has taken a complete 180 turn on my day, because yuck. And that's who. I
mean, I've gotten to the point at some places where I'm like, do you have a bowl of ice cream? Just bring me a bowl of ice cream.
That's what we're like. Here's a Mickey bar. We're just keep it moving.
Yeah. Just ice cream for dinner, because it's calories.
we're at Disney, and don't expect this next week when we're home. Right. But we're talking like no peanut butter and jelly, peanut butter only. That kind of like no mac and cheese. Like this child, she's got her things, and she's very stuck in her ways. And I have a toddler's palate a bit as well as an adult.
Oh, yeah.
If I wasn't married to my wife.
For Disney.
Well, I'd like to try the different things when you're there, but bless her heart. So they do a good job of that. So I'm sorry. So what are we'll go back to this. Talk about some of these snacks and things that you have to have on your lists.
Okay. So Magic Kingdom, there's a few. I have yet to try the creme brulee donut at Gaston's Tavern.
That sounds amazing.
When I went, she was like, we're so sorry. Are you waiting for the donut? I heard you talking about it. We're sold out. I was like,
no.
Are you joking? So they better have it in November when I go back.
I have a lot of beef with that place.
One. Huh?
I have a lot of beef with that Gaston Tavern, because they have that big cinnamon roll.
I love it.
The cinnamon roll that we had for the 50th that was up front I thought was better. Whatever they did to
Is it a Mickey shaped one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I've never had the Mickey shaped one. They have them in Animal Kingdom.
Okay. Because
try it there and compare.
We've had both.
I like the Gaston's Tavern one. You have to ask for at least 1 or 2 extra icings.
Oh yeah, you got to have the more icing, the better.
Another little gem that I was actually really sad was not there this time. Friar Nook's tater tots with gravy, sausage gravy, the best breakfast ever. They did not have them this time, and they had the Tiana's beignets. The Magic Kingdom beignets are horrible.
Oh no, I've never had any of their beignets. I've heard they're great, but I've not had.
Now, apparently, the Mickey beignets at French Quarter, which is where we're staying in November, strictly because I want to try the Mickey beignets, are amazing. Like Cafe du Monde level New Orleans beignets. The ones at Tiana's outside of Tiana's and the ones at Friar Nook's. Terrible. Don't waste your money. Go to the Cheshire Cat Cafe, get a cattail and whatever smoothie they have. It's always so good. I always go to the confectionery, and you're gonna laugh. I bring a Chinese like takeout container, like a hard one, but the like skinny ones, and I will fill them up with as many fresh Mickey Head Rice Krispie treats as I can, and take them home.
They're different than home,
like a week.
Yeah, I know
that's so good. And if you get it with the Snickers topping, it's like seasonal. Like sometimes you catch it. I've been really lucky lately. Other than that, I'm going to go for like the white chocolate dipped Mickey pants one. Another snack. Oh, everybody knows about them now, but they used to be like the spring rolls outside of the Adventureland, the cart. That's really good. If I'm going to Hollywood, they have this, and I'm sweets over savory all the time.
Okay.
So most of everything is like a dessert. The Trolley Car Cafe, which is the Starbucks, they have a carrot cake whoopie pie.
Oh, all right.
Oh my God. It is to die for.
They don't do that at regular Starbucks? That's just a Disney?
That is just a Disney.
Okay.
And it's only at the Trolley Car Cafe.
Okay.
The only one that has it. Another one in Hollywood would be, I love Woody's.
Oh, yes. Underrated. The
underrated. Oh my God.
Yeah.
The brisket sandwich or the tomato soup and grilled cheese. Or the loaded, I don't like the lunch tachos. I like the loaded breakfast tachos.
The potato barrels.
The potato barrels.
Not tater tots.
Sausage gravy.
Oh, you sound like a big sausage gravy person.
It's so good. And I'm not usually like, that's not one of my go-tos, but it's so good. And then the raspberry Pop-Tart.
Yeah.
I always will get one of those and put it in my bag and save to eat during Fantasmic.
What's the other one? Is it Nutella? Is that the other one? That's the kind
seasonal. So right now it might be Nutella. Sometimes it's a lemon blueberry.
Or hazelnut.
Right now it's a pumpkin.
Oh, yeah. I don't know about that.
But everybody always wants to try the seasonal. I'm like, every time I try the seasonal, I'm let down. Stick with the raspberry. It's the best. This time I went to Carafe Cats and got the black cat, the one with the cream cheese creamer and the Cocoa Puffs.
Okay. That sounds amazing.
I got triple cream this time. It was divine because I'm like a milky coffee person. If you want it like the bitter Starbucks, if that's your jam, just get it regular.
Right. I
got the other one to die for. I mean, it's so good. Oh, and then the blue milk and the green milk.
I like them both.
I love them both.
I was very surprised.
My Hollywood go-tos are those. Animal Kingdom, Pondu Pondu, right across from Satuli Canteen. They have a pineapple lumpia, which is like a spring roll with cream cheese and pineapple. So good. And then the Night Blossom Slushy, which is like pear and another flavor. And they have like the popping bubbles when you're hot. Oh my God. It's the best thing you've ever had. Also, one of my favorite dining is Tusker House. So good. The flavors like of Africa. It's kind of like a boma, but also has like your safe foods for if you have picky eaters. Really liked that. Character experiences were kind of lacking there, I felt. My forever best character experience is always Topolino's.
Yeah.
Above and beyond, and the food is incredible.
The best breakfast I've ever had.
Oh,
we did that.
Steak and eggs?
What it was is they said you could order an entree and a half. Like that was the thing. It was something about you could get one order and then find something else and we'll bring you a half a plate of that. And it was, so we had a bit of everything at the table. And
oh my God.
The fried potatoes, the best thing. The fried potatoes there that they have.
Yes, those are so good. I have had the steak and eggs and I have had the sour cream waffle.
Okay.
Both delish, but steak and eggs over the polenta with the hash browns is by far the best. So where haven't we touched on? So Animal Kingdom, Pondu Pondu.
Epcot.
Tuli Canteen. I do love the cheeseburger pods. They're so good. And I've actually never eaten at Flame Tree Barbecue. I am dying to get, it's like the fries or the mac and cheese with the barbecue and the onion ring and the coleslaw and the barbecue sauce. Man. It looks so good every time, and every time I miss it, but I swear this time I'm going to eventually get there. Nomad Lounge in Animal Kingdom. The best churros you've ever had in your life.
Yeah.
We will go as a group. And so they used to have the boats that would go around with the characters in them. Mm-hmm. I think they've stopped that since. I think that's kind of a COVID thing to like keep distance but have characters. So they've kind of done away with them.
I really like that.
I know, I loved them. We would sit on the outside in the like little area, get a couple orders of churros, and watch the boats go by. And that would just be it. We would just get that and then go and then explore Pandora's area. And then Epcot, I can't even. Like, it's just too many. France is my favorite place to eat in all of Disney. Mm-hmm. Outside of Remy's, they have a crepe pickup. We get all three. We get the ham and bechamel cheese, we get the Nutella, and we get the butter sugar.
At the
we
one
find a place, and we sit down, and we eat all of them.
Is it at the creperie? Is that?
No, so it's beside the La Creperie. It's a pickup window, so you don't have to sit down.
Oh, I didn't know they had that.
Yes, it's so good. So we love the Skyliner. We always try to stay at a Skyliner resort. This will actually be our first time not staying at a Skyliner resort, but we love the Skyliner because, one, it throws you into the back way of Epcot so you can rope drop Remy's, which is one of my favorite things to do. So we always start our day in France. That's always our breakfast. And then for right after breakfast, we go over to the La Gracerie, and I get the macaroon ice cream sandwich to die for. Every single time I have to go and get that. And then where else?
What can I say?
So many places.
My first thought is you don't look like you weigh 300 pounds, and I'm very jealous because
I don't know how I say this literally to myself weekly. I'm like, I think if I really let go of it, I could weigh easily 300 or 400 pounds because of how much I love food. But I think I just kind of save it. I'll try to like eat good as much as I can. But when I go to Disney, like it's a free for all. But I'm also walking like 60,000 steps a day. So I'll come home and gain 2 pounds after a week, but I've eaten probably 5 million calories.
Well, so, I mean, we've been talking about Disney for almost an hour and you've been into it and so excited. But when I asked you about food and you're like, listen up, I have 30 things that I eat every time I go. And
do you? Okay,
this was you. This is what you just did.
Oh, this is me?
You said, here are 30 things I eat. Every time, not a single one of them was less than 10,000 calories.
I'm telling you, there
was one salad in the mix, and then everything else was just
oh God, I barely eat a vegetable or a protein when I'm there. Like, my protein is like the hot dog inside the corn dog nuggets at Casey's. Like, that's about it. Everything else is just pure sugar.
Yeah.
We went 2 weeks ago, Epcot Food Festival. I literally think I stopped at 11 booths within 2.5 hours.
That's amazing.
And thank God I had the honeymoon couple with me and my husband, and I was forcing everybody. I was like, if you don't eat it, I'm throwing it away. I'm throwing it away. So I got them to finally like help me eat bites, but I had to try. There were so many new ones that I absolutely had to try that were really good. And I will tell you, my favorite was probably, have you ever done the nitrogen dipped anything? Like the cheesecake or?
No.
Oh my God. Okay, so they take like a glob. This time it was like a sweet potato cheesecake thing.
Okay.
And they dunk it in nitrogen so it hardens and it's like freeze dried. And then they topped it with like honey, pecans, cinnamon. And you kind of like crack into it so the outside's crispy like a meringue frozen and then the inside's just delicious. It was insane.
The rest of my day is just going to be terrible because I'm going to be thinking about all this delicious food that is not available.
Welcome to my life. I think about it all day, every day.
This is why my daughter wants to do culinary stuff at Disney because she wants to be there and she sees this and she's just, I would love to be able to make things like that. So I'm like, make that happen. Dad supports that.
Johnson Wales in Rhode Island is one of the best culinary schools she can go to. My dad was actually an executive chef trained there.
Nice.
And so I kind of think that's where my love of food comes from. I just grew up around good food.
Well, my go-to used to be the Nutella waffle with the fruit. Then they said
they ruined it.
It's too delicious. Let's get rid of that. It's too simple.
So I got it a couple of years ago, and I was really mad because I could tell whatever they're using was like a knockoff Nutella.
It's hazelnut spread, but
chocolate.
Right.
I was like, this isn't Nutella. Nutella is Nutella. You ruined it from the first time I had it. And then when they started throwing like frozen fruit on it, I was like, all right, we've just given up on life, apparently.
It's trying to trick your body into thinking that's healthy. If a berry goes in with the rest of it, I assume my stomach's like,
well, we make them at home now.
oh, see, that's okay. Well, that is the issue because anytime we go somewhere and there's something that delicious that you can make at home, that's simple. When at our state fair here a few years ago, they started having those stupid hamburgers with the donut, and I was like, never let me make this at the house because it sounds so disgusting. It is so delicious,
so good.
They're so good, and I said we can't do this because I will make these at home and we will eat two donuts a piece and a burger. No, this is.
I know. You just don't even think of like what you're eating when you're eating, and you're like, this is psychotic.
Yeah, I'm at the fair. It's okay, but at home,
right?
You can't do it. So I love, and I heard you talk about this too. The caramel corn and anything at the what is it called in Germany at Epcot? It's something German with a K.
The caramel couche.
Yes, I'll take your word. That doesn't sound right, but it's
caramel couche. I think it's Kuche.
There's something in there. It is.
I'm not German. I don't know.
They have that, and they have a little caramel bar. Anything from that place.
It is to die for. I always get the it's like this buttery shortbread square with the caramel in it. Oh my God, it is melt in your mouth of it. Delicious. Yeah, it's so good.
That is my go-to. And now they have the caramel popcorn at the Magic Kingdom in
where?
In the big tent, in Pete's big tent, like in that area.
I literally saw a reel the other day of the characters back there. I have never been in the tent.
Well, it is just a big. Okay, so this year when I went by myself and I was just strolling around, somebody on Instagram had said that they have that in Magic Kingdom. So I'm like, let's see. This is my favorite thing, this popcorn, and I'm taking it on the plane with me on the way home. And so they make it fresh at that tent. It's one of the places they have Coke Zero in a bottle, which was my jam. So in the fridge, and I'm like, they don't have it at the carts. They don't have it in the stores up front. But that souvenir, or the Big Top Pete's, or I don't know what it's over by the bar.
Yeah, the Big Top Souvenirs is, I think, what it's called.
It's a bunch of souvenirs and, the silly things.
I heard there is a churro back there.
Well, they have the whole center of it is a bakery kind of area. Like they've got
Gotta go back there.
Yeah.
Well, they have the Dumbo churro, which is like peanut butter and peanut butter is like my all-time favorite flavor of anything.
Well, that's protein. That's good.
Yeah, it's not fattening at all. It's fine.
No, it's fine.
Totally fine. Yeah, so I've actually been meaning to go back there.
Mm-hmm.
Usually when I'm back at Dumbo, I'm just like hard pressed on not letting my kids into that jungle gym area because I'm such a germaphobe.
Oh, well. And at Disney, that's good for you.
You'll laugh, but I literally will go through like a bottle of hand sanitizer a day at Disney between the four of us. I'm like, every 10, 15 minutes. Because I know the people that don't, and they come home with COVID and flu every single time. And I'm like, okay, coming home with it is one thing, but getting it there midweek, I don't play around. I wipe down my room. There are no shoes allowed. I don't play. My husband and I are so medical too that I've seen way too much. I know way too much. Well, I'm like, we're wiping it down.
You don't want to be sick there because our friend that planned this last trip for us, she had a business, like one of her trainings and stuff, and they went and she got sick there and had to stay in the hotel. And she's like, it's not even fun in the hotel if you're sick and you can't. Like the hotels are nice if you're having fun, but if you can't have fun, it's just.
It would be the worst.
You look out the window and you're so close that you can't do anything. So, well, I mean, I don't even know. We've been talking for a while. I know you have a heart out, but I have two more things.
Yeah, go ahead. I've got a few more.
All right. I noticed in another one of the videos, and somehow this podcast always ends this way, and it wasn't how I set it up to be. You guys are Buc-ee's people.
Yes.
And that is just, it's so funny.
I hear they have a Buc-ee's cutie cuff, and I'm absolutely getting it.
It just became a thing somehow on accident that everybody that I talk to on here, except one person, because they fly all the time, is a Buc-ee's person. So
you want to talk about sending a foodie into an area. Like, are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. It's insane.
And we went the first time as a joke because everybody Midwest.
I didn't know the first time what we were doing.
Oh.
I didn't know. And I went in and I was like, this is a Walmart. Where are we?
Right. Well, we're in Kentucky and everybody is, hey, y'all, you got to be at Buc-ee's, and they're putting the pictures on social media, and you got to stop here on the way to, Panama City. I'm like, well, this is where they stop. And it was so crowded, but the bathrooms were so clean. Oh my gosh. And
the nicest bathrooms
the
ever.
longest line for women.
Frozen Coke slushies.
Well, listen, they have the Buc-ee beaver nuggets, the cinnamon ones, the best, and their brisket. Everything there is just so good.
I get the brisket sandwich, the maple nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
Their Rice Krispie treats are amazing.
Oh, yeah, they're so good.
Oh God. Our kids, we go feral. Like we get the cart. It's ridiculous. I have to literally tell my husband he's not allowed to go in the merch section. I'm like, just don't. We don't need Buc-ee's merch. Just food. Stay on this
We're filling up the car with Disney merch. We don't have room
for food. I mean, we will literally, but I mean, we take it, we eat it in the room. Mm-hmm. It fills us up for the whole weekend. Every single time I like try to get a new treat, and then I'll watch what other people get. Like, I didn't know they had banana pudding. I'm going to try their banana pudding 100% the next time we go in November.
So we went to Destin this summer, and on the way home, it's a 9-hour drive with no stops. We made one stop. And with the two kids, it's unheard of. But
that's insane.
We went to the bathroom. We got all the snacks and drinks at Buc-ee's, so we didn't have to stop and get food. You know, it was all taken care of the rest of the trip. And I don't know how no one complained all the way home, but they had, just enough food, just enough whatever to keep them occupied for the rest of the trip. But it's really magical. And people don't understand it if you're not there. We have an hour from us now. And I'm like, it's just too far just to drive just for
that. I mean, it would really have to be a hankering and like a bad day to, the weather's terrible. Let's just drive to Buc-ee's. We have nothing else to do.
But it's so good. Do your kids watch Big City Greens?
Oh my God. And for the longest time, my oldest had this country hick accent. And my husband's like, he's turning into Cricket.
Yeah.
What are we going to do?
They have a Buc-ee's episode. I don't know if you've seen that one. It's called Truckies, and they go there, and it's the same place, but they just.
That is hysterical.
I was like, it's a national thing. It's not just us. And then I want to close out. You posted, and I was looking right before we left, that Dame Maggie Smith passed away today. So sad.
I'm devastated. So I texted my husband, and I was like, Lady Grantham died. But I mean, my husband and I, Downton Abbey is like super special to us, but also like Harry Potter is so special to us. One of my favorite movies as a kid growing up was The Secret Garden. Like, I've just loved Maggie my whole entire life. And
she was to me, she was the lady in Sister Act that was, in charge. And then when I was a kid and these movies came out, well, that lady's 100 years old in like 1989.
But she's been the same age since The Secret Garden in 1992.
Right. And she's timeless. And she got more and more famous and better and better. And she is the best.
I was really sad with the last Downton Abbey movie. They let Lady Grantham pass. And my husband and I were like, they're doing that just in case they make a third, so they have an out. Yeah. And now looking back, they are making the third. And I'm like, oh, she will always be like Lady Grantham to me, though. I love her so much.
She was really the best. And that's one of those people that kind of like Robin Williams, where every like 3 or 4 generations in a row looked at them and said, I know them from something different, but they were just so iconic. And you didn't even realize it until you started looking at the credits and go, they're in everything.
That's so funny you said that, because Robin Williams is the one person who I will say his death upset me the most of like anybody's I've probably.
Oh, I'm sorry for bringing it up.
No. He was so special to me. Like those movies growing up, it was one of the people that I never knew, that I felt so attached to, that I was so devastated by their passing. Like anything now that's Genie, I collect. I mean, Robin Hood was Jack. He was Peter Pan. He's so iconic. And like when Julie Andrews and Dick Van Dyke go, I will not be well.
Dick Van Dyke, I mean, I can't believe he looks pretty spry to be 100 years old.
96 years old, he's still kicking.
Yeah, I can't.
Is he 99?
I thought he was, because he won some award this year and he was just out there.
My husband and I will watch Dick Van Dyke show almost every night in bed.
You are a big, your thing said you're a big, Mary Poppins person. So
huge Mary Poppins. My husband just got a Mary Poppins tattoo here of her silhouette with the umbrella, and I think he's going to get Dick Van Dyke as the chimney sweep on the other side.
I'm sorry that the one didn't come to England. What was that about at Epcot? They were teasing us with this
So I actually just booked a VIP tour for a very special family of mine that goes, and I told them the little girl is obsessed with Mary Poppins. If for any reason you can find her in Epcot for a meet and greet, please make that like your number one VIP request for her.
No.
She used to just wander around in Epcot.
Well, weren't they putting in like a special when they at post-COVID they were saying, look at all the stuff we're going to do at Epcot, and then there was going to be like a Mary Poppins experience or something there. They were going to.
I know.
And
they're dropping the ball because Mary Poppins is so iconic. And for me, it's just one of those things that like Walt had such a special hand in that I just think it's so forever classic, timeless. Julie Andrews is always going to be one of my faves, Dick Van Dyke. And it's, I mean, that and Peter Pan are probably my two most special to me storylines. And just classics characters. Those are going to be forever my top two.
Well, I really enjoyed Peter Pan. Speaking of Robin Williams, we did watch Hook a year or so ago with my daughter.
So when I was there and I saw this guy outside the Tangled bathrooms, and we're wearing masks. This is the first one where we took the kids and we're wearing masks, and I'm looking at him and I'm looking at him and I'm looking at him, and I'm finally I look. He's not wearing a mask. I am. I take my mask off and I was like, "Can I ask you something?" And he was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Are you an actor?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I go, "Were you in Hook?" And he goes, "Yes." And I was like, I just started crying. I was like, I love you. It was James Matteo, the slick back Italian hair.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Kid from Hook. And I was like, "Can I take a picture with you?" And his wife was so sweet. His kids were adorable. His wife took pictures of us. It's on my Instagram. It was one of my favorite memories. And I'm still kicking myself for this day for being so starstruck. I didn't ask him, what was it like to work with Robin?
Yeah. That movie really, it was so strange because I hadn't seen it since it came out, and I was like, "This is actually, it's really good. It's well put. It's not a Disney movie, which was weird, but
it wasn't Disney.
I don't believe so. It was like
Is it Spielberg? No,
because Peter Pan was public domain when I'm pretty sure. So like all that Rufio, all that stuff is not
I love
Disney canon.
Rufio.
My daughter, who is a product of these times, said, "So real quick, this movie is about a boy, and he's just creeping in their windows at night and kissing them. Is that what's going on?" And I was,
so that is the
yes.
sinister backstory. Have you ever heard the sinister backstory of Peter Pan?
But please enlighten me because my daughter will love it.
Because every fairy tale has like the sinister side of it, what it could be.
Right.
So the sinister side of Peter Pan is actually Peter is kidnapping children and convincing them to come to Neverland to be his friend, and Captain Hook is actually the good guy. And he's trying to stop him from taking the kids.
Yeah, I have heard that. I don't like to think about it that way.
I don't like to think about it that way either.
So many of those Disney stories are taken from like the Grimm's fairy tales that are just like, oh, this is terrible.
Like chopping off the toes to fit in the silver, the slipper for Cinderella. And
well, I want to know what was wrong with people before Disney came along. How did you entertain your children? You're like, here was this terrible story about murder and death. Good night.
Everything was a cautionary tale.
I mean, every single one, they're just children just being mutilated and murdered. And
yes, like, okay, Hansel and Gretel, this is a little psychotic.
It seems like a no-brainer that he was like, well, I'll just take this horrific story and just make it nice, and the rest is history. So I don't know. They do have these. My daughter's been reading these books. They're essentially like the what if stories from Marvel, but it's, what if Ursula had done something else, and then it's a different mermaid story, like on a different timeline. That. So there's like a whole series of those, and that's what she's thinking into.
I like when they turn the villain stories.
Like Wicked, is that turn it around?
Wicked, Cruella.
Oh yeah, Cruella was so good.
That was such a good movie, and I feel like it's underrated because enough people aren't like talking about it. But that one was incredible. What was another one recently that we were watching, and I was like, "Dang, this is like a really good storyline." It might have actually been one of the newer Peter Pans where him and James Hook are friends in the mine. Oh, I can't remember.
A Peter Pan.
I love all the Peter Pan movies. Everyone. Pan, Neverland, all of them. They're all such good stories. Hook, everything.
Well, let me ask you, so I wrote it the last time we were all there. What is the story with this ride? Because the ride is fun, but that ride is always an hour and a half. That line at
Peter Pan?
Yes. I mean,
I think it's so nostalgic. For me, I have to ride it every single time I go.
It's a
And
good
I'm
time, but it's
almost
a
always going to
long.
tear up when I float over the Big Ben in London.
Mhm.
And this time, so one of my favorite parts about Peter Pan's ride is the queue. And the sad part about doing the lightning lane, which I'm the lightning lane queen because my kids don't wait because they're spoiled rotten, we never get to go through the queue of Peter Pan's flight.
Mhm.
So this time, the way that it worked out, you had to really choose Peter Pan or Tiana's. So of course we chose Tiana's because we hadn't ridden it yet. And I said, we're going to rope drop Peter because I'm dying to go through the queue. You get to go through the children's bedrooms and the butterflies and Tink's like jumping in between the cabinet and the mirror. And I just think it's nostalgic for people. And the reason the line is so long is because they're not moving. It's like one of the slowest moving rides. They'll do like, what is it, 3,000 people an hour, and then Pirates can do like 11,000 people an hour.
Oh, it just
That's
seems
why,
like it's still moving. It's moving and moving, but it's going so slow.
because they're loading two people onto those cars and then pixie dusting them off. But it is one of those that I'm going to ride in almost every single time. And I actually ask people, I'm like, listen, it's a hyped ride, but I don't want it to underwhelm you. I feel like people hype it up and then people are like, wait, that was it? Like, what? I tell people, I'm like, it's very nostalgic. It's not going to like rock your socks like, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. That's an awesome ride. Peter Pan's Flight is mostly nostalgic for me.
Well, so we went on it and it was like, this is fun because we lightning lane, like we just walked right onto it.
Yeah.
If I'd have stood in line for an hour and a half, I would have had a rough time. And then that brings me to the one more thing is that Tron is going to standby only. What do you think about that? Because the last time I was there, when I was there by myself, I got with another group of people who had their atomic clock and they were ready. And I hit it, right at and I got in the first group and I got to go right on.
You
when
got
I went
group
up.
one?
It was group 4, but they all took, the first 8 groups all at once. So
that's the best. The earliest boarding group I've ever gotten is a 7.
It was, they take that first however many people, and it was a slow day, so I was in and out. That was so fun. The roller coaster, it was
Tron is probably the best ride at Disney.
It's so short.
It's going. Oh, you think it is short?
It's like a minute.
I actually have told my husband I wish they would throw you outside one more time before you go back in.
Well, it's like a minute long. If you could do the whole thing twice in 2 minutes, and I feel like people would go the best.
Well, that's the same as I feel as the Barnstormer. One, you need a chiropractic adjustment after it, but it's literally 20 seconds long.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, then throw us through twice because that was ridiculous.
Well, so that was my one bad thing about Tron, and now that's a standby, and they're not doing the virtual queue.
I hate the standby because I like the virtual queue better. I like knowing what I'm going to expect. I like knowing that it's going to be an hour or less, whatever. We went the last time, and Tron is my husband's favorite ride, hands down. And I always buy the lightning lane for 9:00 because that is the best time to ride when it is fully dark and it's all lit up blue. It is so good. But we also like to ride it twice. So I said, it's standby line. We'll try to just do standby line throughout the day. So we went in September. It was a pretty chill day. It was up there like 50, 70 minutes. And I was like, it'll go down. It'll go down. Well, I wish we had just gotten in when it was a 50-minute wait because it was kind of the slowest it was going to be all day. But when we go next time, my son is Tron obsessed. He's being Tron this year for his birthday or for Halloween. He had a Tron themed birthday party last year. I'm going to have to be in that standby line probably 3 and 4 times.
Let me ask you something then real quick about this. He likes the Tron movies.
Loves them.
So there's a new one coming out.
He listens to the soundtracks on repeat.
You might want to check his room for drugs because that's the kind of music you listen to when you're...
So that's my husband, though. My husband is obsessed with Hans Zimmer and John Williams.
Okay.
So all of the scores from The Dark Knight, Star Wars, and Hans Zimmer's actually doing the new Tron soundtrack. Yeah. It's going to be incredible. And I actually want to say he probably did the last one. But my boys are very musically inclined. They love it. My son will sit there and listen to the soundtrack of Tron. There's the music for hours. He loves it. He loves the movies. He'll watch them back to back. He's so excited for the new one to come out. And I'm really excited. I think we're going to make a trip around Disney around that time because I know the merch release will be awesome.
And that part of it I can understand. But this is a good answer for me because I've never I don't get Tron, and that's just probably just me
I
because
don't get Tron either.
I was there for the first one, and I
Yeah.
thought this movie is very. It was essentially they're playing Snake like on the old phones, but they're playing
Yeah.
it in real life, and then they made a new one, and I thought that's an odd choice for a new revival of a IP, and then they're making more, so they must be
Now,
making money,
I was honestly shocked that that was the movie that they chose to base an entire ride around.
right?
I was like, that's so random. Like, what is that with Disney? I don't see the correlation, but the ride is so well done
Mm-hmm.
that
It
I
looks
do
cool.
love it.
It fits
Now,
in real nice in tomorrow. Like it looks nice.
it's gorgeous. It's
Yeah.
awesome. And it's what they needed. They needed another big coaster because, Disney's always competing with Universal and they'll never match, but they're always competing. I will tell you the one thing I will be super not happy about. I don't like Marvel. I do not want to see Marvel in my Disney park. It will infuriate me.
You mean in Magic Kingdom?
Yeah,
Or anywhere?
I'll be pissed.
Okay. Well, I mean that's
I
fair.
want to see it anywhere. If you want to make it its own park,
Mhm.
sure. But I don't want to see Captain America near my castle.
Well, I don't think you're going to worry about too much of Marvel because so much of that is Universal.
Yeah,
Florida.
they don't own it. So hopefully
you're
it'll
lucky.
stay over there.
I would say I had this talk with another person on one of these podcasts about Star Wars, and I kind of feel that way. I was a big Star Wars person, and now I think we've got it. Like all the Star Wars people have seen all the Star Wars. It seems like that we want to see because this new one, I guess, failed. That new show, The Acolyte, and it cost.
Oh, I feel like my husband said it was really good.
They canceled it though, and it cost them $250 million for that one season.
Well, did you see what they did when they built the entire really immersive Star Wars experience where you could like stay the night?
Are you talking about the Halcyon or whatever the big like the Star Wars hotel that thing?
Yeah, the one that was at Hollywood,
Mhm.
and then they would open the doors and you would go around Hollywood for the day, and it included the pass, and they had the food. Like it failed so hard.
Yeah.
They should honestly though, they should use the area and just turn it into a small Star Wars resort.
So we went and we didn't realize when we were there. We saw a bunch of people being walked around with outfits on, and what are they doing? But it was the people who were staying there, and they had their own Star Wars
you
clothes.
get your
But it
own
was
gear.
so expensive for 2 days.
The price was so overpriced.
Mhm.
You were already narrowing down your audience because it was like $2,000 a day.
Oh yeah,
It was
per person.
insane.
Yeah, it was so. Well, it wasn't per person, but it was so stinking expensive. A guy that I do work for, he's a big Disney guy, and he loves Walt for like all his business and like all he did to like. He looks at that and says, "This is how you should make your own business. It can be."
That's
magical.
why I love Rob Iger because I feel like Iger is so much like Walt.
Well, he went to the thing like his son loves Star Wars, so they went, and he was like, it was like the best dinner theater you're going to go to, but it was. He's like, there's no way this is successful because if you've got the money to go, you've got the money to go once. And your market is so small and so narrow that in a year and a half, you're going to bleed it dry. Like they're going to be gone. Like they're all going to have done it. And then now what do? You just have this super expensive 2-day trip. And then he's like, it doesn't seem like it's going to work. And then there it was a month later closing. Well, he was right. It's a good call.
Yeah, I was honestly, I'm sure they really ate a tremendous amount of money on that one. Now, if it was if I was like Harry, because I'm not a Star Wars person, but if that was like Harry Potter and like we were going to Hogwarts, like I would probably contemplate that.
Well, so people seem to still love Harry Potter because it's still fresher.
Yeah.
And I've gotten in trouble because essentially Harry Potter is Star Wars. It's nerds in capes with sticks that fight with magic. It's the same as it's just Star Wars and not in space. Yeah, it's witches instead of space people. But it's still fresh enough. I'll be excited when this new HBO show comes out of Harry Potter.
Me too.
So if people are like,
I'm still trying to figure out why they haven't made The Cursed Child into a movie because it was one of my favorite books. And I know it was a play, but like make it a movie because my husband, who's like, I'm not going to read it. I'm like, it ties everything together. It's so good.
Well, so Star Wars, when I was young, there was no Star Wars. It was like right after all the first 3 got made. There was no Star Wars for years and years. And they made the new ones that were kind of bad.
Yeah.
And then they made the newer ones that I thought were good, but people didn't love them like the old ones.
Yeah.
So people think Star Wars, and a lot of people still think the originals. And so they did that with Lord of the Rings. They made that when I was in college, and people loved it. And they said, we're Lord of the Rings people. But they made this new Lord of the Rings show, and people got mad. So I think people want the original of all these things. Like, I don't know. That's why I'm excited to see if Harry Potter beats this because people love the original so much. And poor Daniel Radcliffe has done everything he can to not be Harry Potter. And he's done a good job. He's a good actor.
I mean, he's always Harry.
Well, there's a movie that he made where he wakes up with guns nailed to his hands and he has to shoot himself out. Like, he has done every possible movie not to be Harry Potter.
I know, poor thing.
He's such a good actor, but I'll be excited to see if this new show, if people go, you know what, we still love Harry Potter, if all the people online are mad about it.
I'm excited. I'm really excited. I have high hopes for it. I feel like the production value of it looked really, really, really good. And HBO, I think, always nails it with their series.
Have you been to Hogwarts at Universal?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was so on our honeymoon.
Okay.
We did Harry Potter Day. It was so much fun.
We still haven't got to go because our stupid kids just don't.
So our rule for our children is they are not going to Universal until they read all of the Harry Potter books and appreciate them for what they are. Because honestly, it's also another way to like push it until they're old enough to actually ride the roller coasters that are there. But like when I went in, I teared up because it was so immersive. And I was like, this is amazing. I feel like I'm in Hogwarts. I love it. And I want my children to also have that. And I feel like you have to see the movies or read the books to appreciate it for what it is.
I'm a little bit out of it. Are they doing a new Harry Potter at the new park for next year? At the new Universal park?
Oh, at Epic Universe?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything new Harry Potter. They just did Diagon Alley.
Mm-hmm. And the train connects the two, right?
Yes. So
I don't know if it was going to connect.
That's another thing that people, if you don't have a travel agent, you may not know. If you don't buy the Park 2 Park Pass, you cannot ride the Hogwarts Express. And that is one of the best rides. It's not really a ride, but it's a ride. One of the coolest rides I've ever been on. We thought it was awesome.
I did love. So I haven't been there in years. I was at a thing where we went to breakfast at City Walk.
Oh yeah.
And the park was just opening up, and there were so many little kids with the hoods on, like the little Hogwarts outfits. And I was like, "Oh, this is a magical childhood." I feel like I really missed out. Like they didn't have anything like that when I was a kid.
I know.
All these kids dressed up, and what a magical time!
That would have been if it was like me during my earlier child years. I think I fully would have been like a Potterhead. Like just every Halloween, it would have been that because I was like super into like witches and witchcraft and stuff when I was in that age. So it would have perfectly fit into that like genre of who I was. But it's still like Harry Potter's still one of my favorites of all time. I didn't read it until, of course, I was like mid-20s.
Yeah, my wife just finished it now. Because it came out, I'm early 40s, so I was in high school when the first one came out. So
yeah,
it was just past, it was like, this is just a little bit too...
I was like too cool for it. I was in high school and I wasn't going to read the books, but I liked the movies. And then when my husband and I got together, he was like, "You haven't read the books?" I was like, "No." So he bought me the whole series and he was like, "You have to read the books. They're so good." So I don't think I read them until I was like 26, 27.
Well, I'll tell you, your husband sounds like the best. And I love him and I've never even met him, but seeing him on there making pancakes, you have a video of him.
Oh yeah. On his what is that thing called?
A griddle?
Yeah, it's like a griddle, but it's like I don't know, not a Traeger. He's got one of those. The Blackstone.
Okay, yeah.
His Blackstone, he had to have.
Shooting through the trees, and he's out there making pancakes. And I'm like, oh, this guy. And
he's so dedicated.
Said, you need to read these Harry Potter books. So congratulations. It sounds like
he's got the tattoos. My husband's totally tatted up, and a lot of them are just like fun, nostalgic. But he's got the mischief managed with the little feet prints from the Mordor's map. Yeah, he loves it. Well,
he sounds like the best, and you have been amazing. Thank you so much for coming on here with me. I had a great time, and it's not even noon. It's an early morning, and I've had this much good time. So thank you so much, and I will
You're so welcome.
All of your information in the description so people can reach out because
yes, please. If
you've listened or if you've watched, she's the best. She's very exciting. She's going to give you the best trip you could possibly have if you take your kids or just your husband, your significant others. So thank you so much, Molly, and you have a great day, and I'll let you know when this comes out. All right. See you.
Bye.